My name is Danny. I'm here to show you guys how to do a Mexican traditional dish called Tinga. It's basically shredded chicken with Roma tomatoes and a hint of chipotle. So let's get to work. Stop it. Now we're going to go over the tools that we're going to need for this simple dish, alright? You're going to need your blender, obviously a cutting board. I use two knives, one for my knife cuts that I'm going to demonstrate, the other one's to clean my chicken, make sure it's nice and clean, alright? You're also going to need some measuring cups, spoon to kind of move everything around, spoons, tongs, make sure you don't burn yourself hot chicken. We're going to use a pot that we can cook the chicken, two bowls, and one to put everything in along with a sifter, alright? So, once you know what we have everything, let's begin. Now I'm going to go over the ingredients that we're going to need for the dish. Alright, you're going to need some chicken breast. It needs to be with no skin, but we'll get to that once I'll show you guys how to clean that. You're going to need some garlic. Alright, cilantro, make sure it's fresh. Vegetable oil, you can also use olive oil for this, it's up to you. Same thing as the vinegar. You can use, I'm using apple cider vinegar, you can use white vinegar. It's up to you what you want to use. You're going to need some chipotles. I use the ones that have the adobo sauce on it. Gives it a little extra flavor. It's really good. Yellow onions. You need about 2 of them. Some Roma tomatoes. Again, make sure they're fresh. You're going to need some kosher salt. Now, I'm going to go over the garnish with you guys later on, but I'm going to kind of tell you what they are. On this typical dish, we top it off with sour cream. We put queso fresco, just kind of break it up into little pieces and crumble it on top. You can either use tostadas or you can use tortillas. It's completely up to you. And that's all we're going to need for now. This next part, I'm going to show you guys how to clean the chicken. Alright? Like I said earlier, you need a chicken breast. Make sure it's got no skin on it. And the only part that we're going to be cleaning off of it is the fat. You don't want none of that stuff on there. For this, I'm going to be using fillet knife. Alright? Carefully, minding your fingers, make sure you get all the fat off of this. This one's got a lot of fat on it. As you can see on the top, it's nice and clean. This is what we want. It's a lot easier to pull apart this way once you cook it. Okay. Now in the back of this, of the breast, there's this little bit of cartilage from the from when it was stuck to the bone on the chicken breast. You want to get rid of that stuff. You don't really want any of that. Right. So it's real simple to do. You stick your knife right underneath here because sometimes some pieces are bigger than others. And that's all there's to it. On this one recipe, it only asks for 1 chicken breast. Now we're going to go over the knife cuts. Right. Like I said earlier, you're going to need a couple of onions. Alright, now we're going to need 4 Roma tomatoes per chicken breast. As you increase your recipe, get it bigger to whatever yield you want, make sure you keep that in mind, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do the onion first. Out of this 1 onion, I'm going to show you 2 different knife cuts on it, okay? Make sure your knife is nice and sharp. Okay, you want to cut one end first, flip it, cut your other end. Okay, make sure you get your trash out of the way. You want to slice it in half, okay? Now, I always peel the very first one, only because this outer layer has got a little bit of a tough spot, and if your knife is not sharp enough, it will slip. You don't want any accidents, so you want to prevent that, okay? You take it off the other one. Now with one, we're just going to do the small dice, which is what we're going to use on the garnish, okay? So you make sure you keep your hands out of the way. Remember, small dice that you want to do. And this is what we're looking for. Okay? We'll get this one out of the way for now. And I'll demonstrate how to do the other cut. Now this is the cut that you're going to use for the dish. Okay, you can either do the whole onion and make it into small thin rings. I like to do it half an onion. It's just a lot easier to cut that way. Alright, again, minding your fingers. You want to make them nice and thin. This is what you're going to be sauteing later on, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Now when you get to a point when this thing starts wiggling on you, just set it down. Set it down and you can cut it this way too. It'll be the same thing. And again, we'll set this one aside. This is what we're going to be using for the sauteing. Now we're going to go over to the Roma tomatoes, okay? These are a lot easier if you quarter them before you throw them in the blender. These are just going to get blended, but you want to make sure you get the core out. Okay, for that, you're going to need a paring knife. What I like to do is get my fingers right at this, my ring finger, right at that edge. So you want to make sure you get the core out. Like I said, you're only going to use this very part of the knife. Okay, so you want to make sure you watch your fingers, get it in there, and slowly turn the tomato along with your knife. Sort of like a tourné. Once you get the core out, using your thumb, you pull it out, and that's all there's to it. Now, like I said earlier, you want to make sure you quarter these. It's just a lot easier to go through in the blender. Now we'll get these out of the way, and I'll show you guys how to do the garlic. Next part, I'm going to show you guys how to do the garnish as well for the cilantro. Okay, you want to get rid of, make sure you wash it first. All these stems that are on the bottom, you can get rid of all of those. Now the only thing you're going to be doing with this is just mincing it, so just mind your fingers. You don't want this too fine because you want to get a little bit of a crunch out of it rather than a paste. That's really all there's to it. And just set it aside and wait till the end. For the next part, we got to saute the onion. So I've got a pan already that's nice and hot. We're going to use some of that oil. The oil's to moderation. It's just enough to saute the onions. You don't want them to overcook. You don't want them caramelizing either. Okay, so I'm going to let that warm up. Meanwhile, I'm going to show you guys how to do the rest of the stuff. You're going to use your Roma tomatoes. Make sure you put them in a blender. This is where the blender comes in. Half an onion from that onion we had left over. Alright, we're going to use that 1 garlic clove. And I pulled 2.5 to 3 cups of that chicken stock that we got from that chicken breast we were cooking earlier. I'm going to set that in there. And you're also going to need 3 chipotles. I like to use some of that adobo that comes out of there. It just gives it that little extra flavor. And this is about 1. So you're going to need 3 of those. Throw them all in there. And just blend it. Okay, that's all you need for this. Just let it set because we're going to be using this in a minute. Now that I have my oil nice and hot, I start sauteing my onions. Like I said, you want to keep an eye on this. Make sure you don't burn them. You don't want them over caramelizing either, okay? that these are ready, you're going to use your sifter and you're going to put the contents you had on here into this. You're going to get a lot of little chunks, so you want to use your spoon to kind of use nothing but the juices that come out of there. You have this liquid along with your onions, you're going to want to let it simmer for about 5-10 minutes. And while that's going, you can go ahead and grab your chicken breast and we're going to shred it. As you can see, this is what it looks like, nice and fresh. Okay, now I've already done it and shredded it. Once you have it shredded, and this has been sitting on for a while as well, you're going to want to grab it and dump it into this mixture in here. And just let the chicken soak up all that flavor from the stock and everything else you throw in there. Mix it all in there. And like I said, let it simmer for another 3 to 5 minutes, and then it'll be ready to serve. When that dish is finished, this is our final product. This is a tinga with the onion. Still has some of that red sauce, deliciousness. And I'm going to show you guys how to plate this on a tostada. Now you can do this on tacos as well. Okay, I have my 2 tostadas right here. You can either buy these or fry the tortillas yourself. It's up to you. I want to grab some of this. A lot of people like it with a lot of juice on it. I personally don't mind either way. Want to top it off. Now again, like I said, this recipe that I gave you is only for 1 chicken breast, so your yield is always going to be different, okay? The way to top them off is with a little bit of sour cream. Now the sour cream, regular off the store, what I normally do is add a pinch of salt and about a teaspoon of milk to kind of soften it, okay? Then you want to top it off with the queso fresco, a little bit of the cilantro, and some more fresh onion. And there you have it. Tinga, Mexican dish. You'll like it. Hi everyone, my name is Danny. I'm here to show you guys how to do a Mexican traditional dish called tinga. It's basically shredded chicken with Roma tomatoes and a hint of chipotle. So let's get to work. Stop it.